Good morning, everybody. We have a hard start right here. Usually, I like to kick off with a trailer of the movie that we're going to be talking about. But uh, for this one, we're talking about 1954's Gojira, and it was hard to find the actual Japanese trailer. But this is really this is kind of cool because this trailer is about the release of it. The as a Japanese DVD. So I thought this one was kind of cool because it's got all the sound effects. So let's roll this. And it's got that great music. You could say he was the biggest star of 1954, that's for sure. Uncut, uncensored, undubbed. And then, of course, there's that roar. I love that. I think that's really great. So, good morning and welcome to 31 Days of Monsters, day 2. We're going to talk about the king of the monsters. Nah, everybody says, oh, King Kong is the king of them. No. Godzilla is the king of the monsters. Uh, Godzilla and Frankenstein, my two favorite monsters, bar none, from the time I was a kid. Watching that trailer and hearing those sound effects, doggone it, my green screen is killing me because Godzilla's green on this cover. But there's the Monster Times that I showed in the previous broadcast. And I love this character. And I love this movie. I mean, of course, the first one I saw was King of the Monsters, which was 1956. It was the Americanized version that was released here in the States, and they added American actor Raymond Burr to it, which changed the story. They had to re-edit it, and quite honestly, it's a really good movie. And if you didn't know it, you'd think that's how it was made, that maybe they hired an American actor to go over there so that they could release it here and double their profits. Which in effect, except for the part of the actor going over there, it's true. They did want to try and increase their profits by appealing to an American audience. And it's a good film. But Gojira, the original, is so much better. It's more in depth. The characters are better fleshed out. The dialogue is it's much more natural. Obviously, it's not dubbed, so you get to hear the actors' real voices. And it's edited. I should say the other one was edited out of. There were things that were out of sequence to make the narrative fit the addition of Raymond Burr, whereas this one is straight on. And if you see the two back to back, you'll see things seem out of place. And that's one of the reasons I love this movie. It's a metaphor monster, obviously tapping into the uncontrolled atomic age, and who suffered the most was the Japanese. One of the things I always wondered was the name Gojira and the name Godzilla. Where did that come from? I guess everybody assumes that, American marketing, they couldn't sell it under the original title of Gojira, so they created Godzilla to sell it. But in my research before coming on today, I found that isn't true. That Gojira, let me see if I got this right here. In the original story treatment, the monster's name was written in as Godzilla, Godzira. When Toho decided on the name Gojira, they would officially translate it into English as Godzilla. Gojira to Godzilla. Godzilla. Toho used the title Godzilla in their 1955 English language sales catalog a full year before finding an American distributor. The film even played briefly in Japanese American-owned theaters in Los Angeles and New York under the title of Godzilla, before Transworld was created to distribute and release as Godzilla King of the Monsters in 1956. And that would feature Raymond Burr. And so Toho has since been the sole owners of the name Godzilla. So actually, Godzilla was right there from the beginning in the Japanese version. I thought that was really, really cool. And according to the scholars or historians, Godzilla is a combination of two words, gorilla and whale. In Japanese, gorilla is Goria, and whale is Kujira. So it's like a combination of like this giant. I think they were trying to create this giant, or describe this a giant creature, So that was kind of cool. A lot of things happened in Japan, obviously, from the war and the bombs that were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And another thing I didn't realize was that in 1954, there was some contamination issues from continued testing, which they bring into this movie. There's the scene of the boat where the sailors are contaminated and they're dying from radiation poisoning. That was based on a true incident. A Japanese fishing boat had entered too closely to U.S. H-bomb testing waters, and the crew of that ship became contaminated with radiation and died. And in 1954, the same year that the film was released, Russian testing had Russian H-bomb testing had caused contaminated rain to fall over Japan and contaminate vegetables and their water supply. And there's a scene in Godzilla where they're on Odo Island, and the doctor tells the people not to drink the water. And I think that's a direct result of current affairs that were happening in Japan at that time. Now, Godzilla is based on three dinosaurs, a T-Rex, an iguanodon, and the Stegosaurus. It's sort of like a combo thing. The T-Rex for its basic shape, the iguanodon for its arms and the way it stands, and of course the plating of the Stegosaurus. And what I didn't realize is, that bumpy skin on Godzilla was supposed to represent radiation burns. That kind of in and out scaling stuff, which I didn't realize, and that's really cool to know when you're watching Godzilla. This movie is filled with amazing imagery. Let's see if I can pull some up here. There we go. This is the original Godzilla from 1954. He's got like those two fangs, and if you'll notice, he has ears up here. That this is a very clear shot, not maybe a set piece shot, that type of thing, because you never see him quite this clearly in the movie, which is probably a good thing because the eye looks a little phony there. But it's really cool to see ears on Godzilla. And there was a sequence in the script where Godzilla was they were ringing one of those big bells, and it attracted Godzilla. He could hear it and he would turn, and that might be the reason why in the design process they decided they were going to put ears on him. The ears disappeared pretty soon after his first appearance here, and certainly by his third appearance in his first color film, King Kong versus Godzilla, he didn't have the ears. But the ears have cropped up, I think, since 1984. They've returned Godzilla's ears to him. They returned them. I don't know who had them, who was holding on to them, but I wish I could. Yeah, I wish this was a bigger picture. But look at the atmosphere in that. Look at that. The lighting effects. This was such an amazing movie. It was directly inspired by the previous year's The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms, the Ray Harryhausen film, which was uh, a Ray Bradbury story, and that was that was done in stop motion, obviously, Ray Harryhausen. Um, and originally they wanted to do Gojira in stop motion too, but there was nobody skilled enough in Japan at that time in that technique because it was, relatively new. I mean, they used it in Kong and in some earlier films. Willis O'Brien used it, but there wasn't anybody in Japan that could do it, and the costs would have been a lot higher. And this was one of the most expensive films of 1954. The Seven Samurai, being, I think it was the Seventh. It was one of the Kurosawa films. Was the most expensive film of that year. And oh, where was I going with this? Godzilla, the budget. Lost my train of thought. But anyway, the imagery in this film is so great. You can pull up all these great stills of Godzilla, and there's such a great. Oh, I think I was talking about Harryhausen, wasn't I? Yeah, Harryhausen, when Godzilla came out, he was pretty upset. He thought that this was a direct ripoff of his film, and Ishiro Honda and the producers of Godzilla were always very generous in saying that it was inspired um, by Ray's work, but this is clearly a very different movie. And I love The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. In fact, it's my favorite Harryhausen film. But Gojira slash Godzilla is it stands alone. Now, this is probably my favorite Godzilla image I've ever seen. I came across this one today. There's the suit, the guy, and the actress who plays Kimiko in the film. And there's a great shot of the original suit with the umbrella and everything. I just love this. I found this image, and I don't know if this has been colored or if this is just a color photograph that was taken on the set, but this is what Godzilla would look like in color back in the day. You could tell that's the original suit, the ears. I don't know if it was colorized. It sort of doesn't look it, but it could very well be with the tech. Maybe it was. I'm looking at the plane. It doesn't look like they colorized that because those should be red on those wings. Maybe it is colorized. One of the things they had to do because they could not afford or they didn't have the artisans to do the stop motion in this film um, is they had to come up with another way to do it. So they pioneered this costume effect, and one of the cool things that being able to do it this way was that the sets could be much more detailed because they were building them, on a much bigger scale than they would have to if they had to do like a claymation puppet type of thing. Uh, so this is the special effects in this film for 1954 are incredible. The scenes of destruction, the buildings that they made them out of wood and plaster and glass. The same things they make real buildings out of. And the scenes of destruction are just absolutely amazing. Godzilla's changed over the years. Um, Here he is in his original incarnation. Uh, in fact, I think every movie, it's a different suit. Um, and I don't know why that is, but maybe Godzilla's evolving. I don't know. But certainly the first one is absolutely incredible. And then the third one, which is absolutely my favorite, I think. This is from King Kong versus Godzilla. And I just think he looks more reptilian, more dinosaur in this. You can see his snout is different. Um, and they never return to that. Then they got this kind of bumpy thing. And then the eyes got really big and goofy, like down here. Uh, yeah, and here we're getting into the 70s, you know, and that's I don't really care for those Godzillas. Um, but yeah, this one's my favorite. Uh, I guess they've restored obviously Gojira, Godzilla, and Toho has also done a 4K restoration for King Kong versus Godzilla, but I don't know that that one's available yet. That one I would really like to see because it's the first one done in color. I'd love to see that restored to its natural colors and everything. Unfortunately, it's probably going to make King Kong look even worse, if that's even possible. He looks terrible in that movie. Uh, but that one was always one of my favorites as a kid. Even though this is a metaphor for atomic testing, uh, one of the interesting things in this film is that America is never mentioned. The only reference at all is that Emiko, uh, the girl of the story, in this version in Gojira, she mentions about having survived Nagasaki, and when I saw that in this version, I thought that was really interesting. That America is never mentioned, and I don't know if that was a conscious effort, so as like if they got overseas distribution, they weren't going to be trying to insult America. I don't know, but they do mention it as a historical aspect and that she had survived it. And I thought that was a really cool touch. Okay. So we call Godzilla the king of the monsters, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about his rival King Kong, which I don't like as much as I love this movie. So that will be an interesting discussion. So let's see who's here this morning. Jay Lee is here. Good morning. Chris Fisk, Prater 7, Matt Cisco, good morning. Monster Fan, good morning. Hyper Kaiju, good morning. You must have liked this because Kaiju. North Free, Hail Graham, The Mighty Chat, and the greatest Kaiju movie ever. No doubt about it. North Free, I should say. Monster Fan, hello, Monster Fan. Matt Cisco, that's his ringtone, he says. What, the roar, the Godzilla roar? Yeah, that's an interesting thing too. Let me see if I can find that. Uh, Here it is. That roar is so iconic, and again, it's the kind of thing that gives me chills. It makes me 12 years old again. The sound department tried numerous animal roars for Godzilla, but felt they were unsuitable for an animal of such immense size. Akira Ifukube, uh, I think, isn't Ifukube the guy who wrote the music too? He came up with Godzilla's roars by rubbing a coarse, resin-coated leather glove up and down the strings of a contrabass, known as a double bass, and reverberated the recorded sound. Also, Godzilla's thunderous footsteps were made by beating a kettle drum with a knotted rope. That's really cool because those are very distinct noises. Rob Fellows, hello, good morning. Pop Culture Avengers here. Good morning, sir. George Travalos. We got a lot of our usual monster crew here. Cool Cotton. He finally got a notification. Well, there wasn't a notification yesterday because I just went with a hard live start and didn't, set it up ahead of time. But it should work now. Steve Lowenthal is here. Hi, Steve. Steve, please go over to YouTube and subscribe and hit the like button over there because you're watching it on Facebook and that's going to end soon. I'm only going to be broadcasting these on YouTube. And then you can hit the notification button. It looks like a bell. So when I post these things, you can hit the bell and then you'll get the notifications of when they're coming on. Yesterday's Fool, hello. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast, hello. Good morning. North Free says Raymond Burr is great, but remove him from Gojira and then you have a truly great movie, not simply a kaiju movie. Oh yeah, it's a movie of depth, to be sure. You know, the funny thing when I watch King of the Monsters, the ones that has Raymond Burr in it, is that his character's name is Steve Martin. And all I can think of is that wild and crazy guy. That would be a funny thing if somebody like inserted like the real Steve Martin into all of Raymond Burr's scene. I'd watch that movie. George Travalos likes the Perry Mason version. Okay. JP Roca is here. What's good? Godzilla's good. Aaron Sarge. Again, Mike Nearing. You guys, you want to keep watching these shows, you got to go over to YouTube because I won't be broadcasting them on Facebook. So just go over there, subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button and then hit the little bell, and that's your notifications. So you'll get notified whenever we're broadcasting these things, any of my shows. But I don't want you to miss out because I'm taking it off. I'm not going to do it on Facebook. I need to get everybody over to the actual channel, subscription channel. Yep, covered that. Pop Culture Avenger says the one thing that sticks in my mind about Gojira is the scene where the schoolgirls are singing that sad, haunting song. I have no idea what they're saying. Yeah, there's a lot of haunting music in this film. And the panoramic scenes after the destruction, after Godzilla comes ashore, is amazing. Stad Zero's popping in from work to say good morning. I love this flick. Some genuinely creepy and thought-provoking stuff in this. No doubt about it. Do you work every day? You need a vacation, son. Kaiju says this movie, when this movie was in development and didn't have an official title yet, its working name was Project G. Interesting. I hadn't come across that. Rob Fellow says Akira Ifukube's score is fantastic. Gojira's theme can be heard in one of his pre-movie compositions. Yeah, I loved. I've got the soundtrack. There's two different Godzilla soundtracks. One covers from like 1954 to 1975, I think, and the other one covers the soundtracks from 1975 going forward. And those original movies always had such incredible themes and music in them. Stat Zero, time to head back. Have a great stream and a great day, Graham and chat. Thanks, Stat, for stopping in. Remember, ask for a vacation. You're working too much. Jay Lee's talking about the ears. Yeah, so as I mentioned, that they went missing in King Kong vs. Godzilla, and I think they were returned in Godzilla 1985. I think he says it was until the 90s, but maybe that's true. Jay Lee says the lighting and camera angles in this movie are amazing. Yeah, they kept they had like all the Godzilla walking scenes and stuff up on platforms so they could get the camera down low too and create this great immense size. What about says ahoy Nolan? Ahoy, what about? Better than Clash of the Titans? Uh yes. I never liked Clash of the Titans. Always seems so dated even when it came out. I think I saw that at the movie theater and I'm like, post Star Wars, it was like Scott Pickering, good morning. Catching up on everybody. I think we're going to Scott. 70s were too goofy. Yeah. Actually, once you got to Destroy All Monsters or All Monsters Attack, I guess is the Japanese version, uh, it started to get a little goofy. When they brought Minya in. No on the suits, most were, but on a few they did use the same ones, like the ones for the original Hedorah and Gigan was the same suit. The same Godzilla suit? Is that what you mean? North Free says, I love the human side that Godzilla, while bringing plenty of suffering, is himself suffering from plenty from the radiation. What's interesting too is that, this is Godzilla is a representation uh, of the atom bomb and the atomic age. And to destroy him, they have to come up with an even more destructive weapon. And I think that message is lost sometimes. Dr. Serizawa, sacrifices his life and stuff, and he's so torn over the use of another um, mass destructive, mass destruction weapon. But that's what it takes, So it's almost like that ramping up that. I don't know if you'd say it's détente, but oh, Jay Lee says, I'm assuming you are referring to King Kong vs. Godzilla in the restored 4K? Let me know. I'll have to look for that. Oh. Oh, shoot. This thing jumped ahead. I gotta scroll backwards now. Because I'm gonna miss people. Oh, okay. Here we go. They had to change the suit because of the man's sweat in that thing, and it couldn't be washed. Plus, pieces would fall off. Yeah, they said that they had to, like, sometimes a cup of sweat would get released out of that thing. It was very difficult for that guy. North 3 says Shin Godzilla has the greatest Godzilla blast in any kaiju movie ever. I saw that one. It was cool, but boy, it's a slow go. All the human interaction scenes, it's just it really slows that movie down. Nerd and a Noob is here. Hello. Says he's excited to watch it later. Uh, yep, covered that too. Were you not listening? Why'd you come in late? Interesting fact, the suit from Biolante was stolen, was never found. Huh. Probably in somebody's collection somewhere. Call of European Spirit says the anime Godzilla trilogy on Netflix is awesome. Totally recommended. Hmm. Cool. I haven't seen that. Also, in the 1985 Godzilla, Burr made it clear he would only return if they made it serious, like the original, due to the film was made serious in Japan that year. Yeah, he might have said that, but his version, the 1985 version that Raymond Burr actually appears in, the same way they did it before, he never went to Japan for it, seemed more like about product placement. He was always standing in front of like a Coke vending machine, and you know, I didn't care for that. Shin Batsu, morning. Hail, Mr. Nolan. Hail, Shin. Aaron. Come on now. Don't be lazy. Go to YouTube. Don't make me come down there, sir. Mayfield Juke says you got the YouTube notification and tweeted out that you are live. Thank you, Mayfield. Mayfield, I appreciate that. Toho had an amazing exhibit at San Diego Comic-Con to celebrate Godzilla's 65th anniversary. Included the original Oxygen Destroyer, destroy his head from original costume. Ominya, I think that's supposed to be costume, and more. Oh, cool. So 65th, when would that have been? Was that 2019? Wow. Danky Frankie is here. Good morning, Danky Frankie. Some 3 says 29 more days of monster movie reviews. This is gonna rock. Oh yeah, this is a lot of fun. I'm gonna post the list on Instagram so you can get a heads up and see it. In case you wanted to catch any of these films ahead of time. I like Clash of the Titans, but it does feel like a 60s movie, in my opinion. Even when I saw it in the late 80s or 90s as a kid, I thought it was way older than it was. Yeah. It was post Star Wars, too, you know? It's like that genie came out of the bottle. It's hard to go back. It's charming, and you have to admire the art form and all that, but that day had pretty much passed. Pop Culture Avenger says he wishes he could have seen that exhibit. Yeah, me too. I would have liked to have seen that. Mm. Ooh, what's this? Monster Fan says the Godzilla short coming out later this year is a triumphant return to Suitmation. Oh, cool. That I'll want to watch. Eric S. says the 10-year-old in me wants them to add Gamera to the Godzilla Kongverse. Well, I got to tell you guys, with the new Godzilla verse that they've been releasing here in the US, the first one I got excited about. And because it was like a return to the real Godzilla, the guy, the monster that could shoot the radioactive fire, a real dragon type of thing. And in fact, funny story, Julie and I went to go see that movie in IMAX, the IMAX theater, on the giant screen and everything. I couldn't wait. And we're sitting there, and the scene comes where Godzilla, they got the shot of the camera on his tail, and you can see like one of his dorsal spines start to glow. And now you know what that means, right? So the way they filmed it, you see it going, it's like it's the glow is going up, and then of course Godzilla gets up and he goes and shoots his fire out of his mouth. And I was so excited, I jumped up and I went, yeah, like that. And I'm the only one standing. And I look around, and I figured all these people have to be Godzilla fans. They paid the extra money to see it in IMAX. I figured everybody, we're all in this together. And I look around, nobody's there. And I'm like, what? Nothing? Nothing? And I sat down. Then the second movie came out, which I thought was great. The King of the Monsters one. I really liked that one a lot. And so when they announced Godzilla versus or King Kong versus or Kong versus Godzilla, I couldn't wait. I was like, oh my God, they've built this up. We've seen King Ghidorah now and Mothra and Rodan. And now we're going to get that really great King Kong, because in the 1962 version, it was a horrible, horrible suit. And that movie, that modern Kong vs. Godzilla movie, actually made me angry. I was so upset at this damn movie because this was T-ball, folks. You had this thing sitting on a tee, and all you had to do was swing and hit it out of the park. And they overcomplicated it. They made a shitty story. They made unbelievable scenes where your suspension of disbelief, even for a Godzilla movie, was off the charts. Um, the human interaction stuff was terrible. A lot of woke crap in it. I mean, I don't get mad at movies, I mean, I'm like, well, okay, that's a bad movie. I don't like it. I don't want to see it again. This one made me mad because I waited my entire life for this thing, for the technology to catch up. And all they had to do was come up with one plausible reason for these two to meet. Simple, easy peasy, and let them go at it. And they blew it. Oh, blood pressure's going up. Chris Oury, happy Saturday. I love Godzilla. We all do. George says, please hit like, chat. Yes, please do. It helps my channel. Ooh, what's this? G-Fest. Godzilla Fest in Chicago every year has amazing stuff too. Ooh, that's kind of cool. Damn it, the thing jumped again. I gotta scroll back to where I was. Okay. Oh, Pop Culture Avenger wants to know what my Instagram is. Huh, that's a good question. Let me see if I can pull it up here. Hopefully it'll log right in. It'll tell me. Oh, I think it's G Nolan one too. Looks like it. Yep. Yeah. It's G Nolan 1 2. That's my login. That's not my login. What am I saying? That's my Instagram name. So if you want to see the list for future movies, I'll be posting that later today. So go over to my Instagram and follow me, and you'll be able to see it. Oh, this is cool. When I was a kid, my granddad got us a 3 foot tall Godzilla toy from Japan that shot crazy sparks from his mouth. That sounds neat. SDA says I'd like to see Jet Jaguar again. I remember that one. I told this story on the kickoff to 31 Days of Monsters. So if you didn't tune in for that, I'm going to repeat it here because it's cute. Um, my brother and I loved our Godzilla movies, and Saturday morning Creature Features was going to show two of them back to back together, and we wanted to watch them. And my parents told us we were going over to our Nana and Pop Pop's house, and we didn't want to go because we're going to miss the movies. And my mom says, "Well, just ask Pop Pops, if he'll, I'm sure he'll let you watch it." We're like, "Okay." So we went and we went over there, and we said, "Pop Pops, can we watch these movies?" You got to remember back then you had a console TV, and that was like the focal point in a room. This is back in like the early 1970s, and my grandfather was a World War One veteran. He fought in France. He was a retired police officer and a former chief of police. So he was a very, very, he's born in like 1900. So you got to figure, the era he grew up in, did not include, guys in rubber suits, running around destroying miniature buildings. And but he loved his grandkids and he wanted us happy. He says, "Oh yeah, sure, put it on." So and he'd never seen one of these things before, and we put it on, and he's like, "Oh, for Christ's sake, what is this? Look at it. There's a guy in a costume." And yeah, we know, Grandpa. Uh, but he talked over the entire two movies. My brother and I are like, we couldn't say anything. But it's a fun memory. Oh, the Many Saints of New York was kind of woke too. That's disappointing. I want to see that, but I really need to get caught up on um, The Sopranos. Only, I think I only watched 2 seasons, maybe 3. Oh, what is this? You need to go to Japan to see the Godzilla on the hotel and the statues, Toho's Studios in Kyoto. There's a lot of stuff to see in Japan. Well, I can imagine. I have seen the hotel. I've seen photographs of it, and it looks pretty amazing. Wasn't there something with a zip line too that like would go right into his mouth? Cool thing about the 2014 Godzilla was how they tried to work all the kaiju tropes right down to the little Japanese boy in tiny shorts. Huh, I don't remember that. I'm gonna have to go back and look at that, Michael. A lot of Jet Jaguar fans here. Chris Ellery says, "I like Godzilla's singularity point, very in the vein of the original movie, but with quantum physics instead of atomic energy." I've heard about this one. I have not seen it. Badasses running Graham's family. Okay, I think I got everybody now. Eric the Guapo just popped in. Hello, Eric. Glad you made it. Just in time to sign off. All right, gang. I think that's going to cover it for us today. This one went long, 46 minutes. But there's a lot to talk about with Godzilla. Tomorrow, let me hold on a second here. Here we go. Stop screen. Share screen. Window. And there we go. Okay, here is the list that I will be posting on Instagram. So go over to my Instagram page if you want to see this closer and study it. There's going to be a couple changes, I think. There's a few movies here that I'm debating on whether to swap out for something else. But this is basically the list for 2021. So King Kong is tomorrow, followed by my first monster movie ever, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Then the classic The Day the Earth Stood Still, followed by The Blob, Steve McQueen, one of his earliest movies. He was still billed as Stephen McQueen. The prototype for Star Trek, Forbidden Planet. Got a couple giant bug movies, Tarantula from Universal Studios, and Black Scorpion. The special effects done by Willis O'Brien, the man who did King Kong, who we'll talk about tomorrow. War of the Worlds, the George Pal classic. Valley of Gwangi, a Ray Harryhausen film. It's a Western, cowboys versus dinosaurs. Sounds better than it is, I'm afraid, though. The Monster Squad from the 1980s, which Stan Winston created some really great monster costumes, particularly his version of the creature from the Black Lagoon looks really cool in this movie. Let's try it again. Ghost Story, which was based on a Peter Straub book, which is a very creepy film. It's been many years since I've seen this. I hope it still holds up. Jeepers Creepers, that's one I'm debating on. The 1932 Mummy, the original with Boris Karloff. The Mist, with the based on the Stephen King book with Thomas Jane. That's a really good one. Predator, the original with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a great science fiction action film. The original Ruben Mamoulian, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from 1931. The only horror movie to win an Academy Award. Well, for Best Actor, Frederick March won for that. The 1987 version of The Fly, which again, that's another one that I haven't seen in many years. I've seen that at the theater. Let's see, where am I? Oh, Alien, the original, Ridley Scott, 1979. Pumpkinhead is a new edition. because I had Gary Girani on the other day, and Gary wrote the screenplay or co-wrote the screenplay for that movie. I always thought that was going to be a, like a 1980s, one of those crappy 1980s monster movies, but it's actually very, very good. It's on Amazon, so you can, watch it if you have Amazon Prime. A late entry in Universal's Monsters is The Mole People. That one has some great monsters in that. Another Harryhausen, It Came from Beneath the Sea. These are all movies I have not done before. I might have done them on Facebook when I was doing it for all those years on Facebook, but I haven't done them as a video thing to talk about them in great length. The Curse of Frankenstein, the one that started it for Hammer Films in 1957, 58. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, a rollicking adventure fantasy. The Deadly Mantis. I have not seen this movie yet. I've always wanted to see it, so I put it on the list this year, and I'm gonna rent it or buy it if I have to see it. I've seen, in my monster magazines, I've seen all the pictures of it, so I definitely want to see this. The Monolith Monsters, which is a very different kind of monster movie, or sci-fi, I guess you'd say. The Brain from Planet Eros. This is a creepy little film. I saw this a couple years ago for the first time. 20 Million Miles to Earth, which is a Harryhausen film they did for Columbia Pictures. War of the Gargantuas. One of the first, one of the first kaiju movies I ever saw in the theater. I saw that as a double feature with Godzilla's Revenge. And then we're going to end on Halloween with the Mad Monster Party, the Rankin Bass, which was a staple growing up in New York at Halloween time. So there's our list. I will post that on Instagram. Let's see. We had a bunch more of comments as I was reading the list. Let me just see. Thrim is leaving us. Oh, that's Eric. There we go. Have a great day. You too, sir. Scott Pickering is here. Hello, Scott. Do I have any Godzilla toys? Not many. I've got one little figure, but I've got a great Christmas tree ornament that I bought a few years ago, and I usually post it every year around Christmas time because it hangs on the tree. It's when you press the button, it's the Godzilla roar, and then his dorsal fins light up, and he's got like this resin that's the fire, and then the fire lights up, so you could hear the sound effects, of his roar, and then the sound effects of the fire. It's really, really cool. All right, let's see here. Now I'm back to where I was. All right. So Eric the Guapo liked the Blob. Scott Pickering says no Gamera. Well, not yet. As I said, there's a few in there I'm gonna swap out. So if you guys really want a Gamera one, maybe we'll put Gamera in there. I have to see if I can find it. Chris Oury likes Seven Voyages of Sinbad. North Free says it's going to be a great month with Fragtober and 31 Days of Monsters. Yeah, the CG boys are getting you covered. Food of the Gods. I saw that at the theater. Marjo Gortner. Oh yeah, War of the Gargantuas. There's something in the mist. Jasper Plan 9 is a big fan of King Kong and Frankenstein. They're tied for the best movie of all time. I'm big on Frankenstein. I am not the biggest King Kong fan, and if you tune in tomorrow, you'll find out why. I always prefer Godzilla. Oh, all right. So Chris is happy with the Monster Squad being on the list. No, that is not the one with Bergman. That was the Spencer Tracy version. This is the one with Frederick March. Ruben Mamoulian directed it with some incredible special effects, which I'll go into when we discuss that film. But yeah, that's the one Frederick March won an Academy Award for. It's a great film. Pick Gamera instead of Jeepers Creepers. All right. Where are we here? Where was Jeepers Creepers? I was kind of not so sure about that. Gamera. I think it's 2 M's. All right. It's in. Can't say that I don't listen to the fans. We got Gamera in there now. I haven't seen Gamera in a long time, so that'll be fun to watch. Pop Culture says Pumpkinhead is awesome. Oh, have I seen the MST3K treatment of the Godzilla movies? I thought the one with Jet Jaguar was hysterical. No, I haven't. Rosemary's Baby and Silence of the Lambs won an Academy Award, right? Not for Best Picture. They might have. I don't know. Not sure. If they did, then it makes no, nobody won Best Actor. They might have, there were films that won Academy Awards for like, special effects and maybe makeup effects, that kind of stuff. But there's not been a monster movie where it's a Best Actor has won. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think Anthony Hopkins won for Silence of the Lamb. This list is light on the Hammer titles. Yeah, there's a reason for that. I'm not big on a lot of the Hammer films. They don't speak to me the way that other films do. But I do have Curse of Frankenstein in there. Thank you, Frankie says Jeepers Creepers isn't a favorite, and the director was a pedo. Yeah, it's actually a pretty cool movie. Is it the Blob from the late 80s, early 90s? I just bought that DVD. No, we're going to watch the original with Steve McQueen. The late 80s one, early 90s is pretty cool. But it doesn't have a Burt Bacharach soundtrack or a theme song. You got to listen to it. It's pretty funny. Love Graham's bluntness. The Hammer films do have a very B-movie feel, very. But who doesn't love Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing? Well, I'm a huge fan of both those guys. And some of the movies are better than others, you know. Um, uh, I kind of like them as they get into the 60s and 70s. Uh, like there's Dracula in 1972 AD, where Dracula has to fight, you know, hippies. That one's a fun one. But, you know, I can't cover everything. I mean, I got 31 of them to do every year. So, and I have covered those in the original Facebook posts. Um, so, you know, it's just a, um, you know, we'll definitely be getting to them, you know. All right. We got everybody covered. You've seen the list, my friends. Tune in tomorrow. I think I'm going to try and get on at 8 tomorrow. Uh, so we'll be talking King Kong. Until then, my friends, enjoy your day and enjoy day 2 of 31 Days of Monsters. We'll catch you tomorrow. Bye bye.